Boba Fett as a show is super difficult because do you have to please the OT fans? Do you have to please the prequel fans? And I get that that's an impossible task because Boba Fett has always been this mysterious character that fans imagine what that character was like, how ruthless he was, maybe what kind of a person he was underneath the helmet. But there's a lot of baggage that comes with the character.
You're listening to a Valiant Star podcast. Enjoy.
What's up, beautiful nerds, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerds Be Like podcast, Season 2, Episode 7. My name's Dan, and with me is my brother, joining the podcast for the very first time.
Hey, y'all. What's up?
All right, so this week we're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett. All of the episodes of which have been released, probably, a week since release? Week and a couple days?
About, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna go into everything that we kind of like, what we don't like, and all that. We'll get into it. But before we begin, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and ding the bell, as well as check out our clips channel. I haven't mentioned it just yet, but we have a clips channel or a highlight channel, whatever you want to call it. It'll be in the link in the description. So yeah, we'll go into the summary.
Yes, sir.
All right, so yeah, I mean, essentially, we've left off from Mando Season 2. Boba Fett has not reclaimed, but he's claimed the throne of Jabba the Hutt from, God, I forget his name, but like the creepy dude from Return of the Jedi. So he claimed the throne, and he has Fennec Shand, Ming-Na Wen with him, and he's kind of on a more gangstery lifestyle than he was before, with him being a bounty hunter and all. Right off the rip, okay, first episode. We're not gonna go chronologically, but I do want to get your first impressions of what you thought of the first episode.
So, right off the bat, I feel more or less like we get a pretty decently strong impression or opening, so to speak, as a first episode. It definitely gives the character a more deeper meaning to it in a way. Something that we haven't seen at all. Like it's the return of Boba Fett, so clearly everyone wants to know what happened to him.
Seeing the whatchamacallit, the him popping out of the Sarlacc pit, I think everyone saw that on like Twitter, the reactions were like, this is exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah, like
him coming out the Sarlacc pit, and like how did he escape?
I think they did such a good job of like keeping the character I don't know, like a badass character, so to speak, from a long time ago. Keeping him up until now, that everyone is like wondering what happened to him, and then to have that strong opening of like, like I survived, I'm back, I'm ready for anything that comes my way, like a strong opening, so to speak. So from there on, like we get to see such it's basically kind of like a rebirth of him.
Yes, yeah, that's a thing. You say that, and there's a track on the OST called Rebirth. I think it's like the first track on the for the first part of it.
I mean, he gets stripped down of everything at that point because it's he gets his armor taken away and
the Jawas.
And he's hurt, like emotionally, physically, all the scars and everything. So you're left with kind of like a blank slate from there. So, I mean, I guess we haven't gotten to the Tusken Raiders, but
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Putting it this way, like if you go back to Mando, they did a pretty decent job as portraying like the Tusken Raiders as more than just savage people, like people that have been misunderstood. But the Book of Boba Fett did a much thorough job as to describe like more like an intimate relationship to them that you haven't seen at all.
They're more native people to Tatooine. Yeah, I know they're a different tribe and everything from like the ones we've seen before, but they are more fleshed out in these two shows than they have been in any movies I don't know how many times they appear. I know they appeared in Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then
It was
maybe
more like the
just A New
prequels,
Hope, and
wasn't
that's it. No, but they appeared in A New Hope, but I don't think they appeared after that.
it? No.
Because they never really went back to Tatooine other than Jabba, but we didn't really see them.
Right, but every single portrayal that we got was
Yeah,
just
they shot Anakin or
yeah, they're
like
just savage people.
yeah
And then
yeah
the ones that Anakin killed, so to speak, right? So,
yeah.
you know, I found something quite kind of funny. It was today actually that I saw on social media. There was something along the lines of someone was calling themselves a true Star Wars fan. Um, yet they were uh, this is interesting, right? So they were saying something along the lines that they don't like the fact that the Book of Boba Fett uh made the Tusken Raiders much more how do you say, like more
They have more of a personality.
more of a personality, because they're like, all right, now whatever Anakin did, now I think that's horrible. Like if before I thought that it
What?
was okay, they were savages, like kind of they deserved it, but now I'm like, I don't like that. You know, like that makes me feel some type of way.
But I feel like Anakin didn't do really great things at
Right.
the
Like
time.
the thing that Post said was something like they were like, oh yeah, like it just made Anakin seem like such a like have such like a dark side or something. And you're like, that's kind of like
That's the whole point, my
that's
dude.
the whole point. But I mean, anyways, back to that, like
Back to Boba Fett.
back to Boba Fett. Yeah, definitely.
um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, the Tuskens, like you see a lot of them for the first what 3 episodes, 2 episodes.
Yeah, you get a
They
lot of
kind of
flashbacks.
disappear. They disappear after a while, which was one of my pet peeves. And like I guess towards the end, I'll talk about maybe more of a restructure that I would have liked to have seen.
Mm,
But I think what they did with the Tuskens were really really good, and like them really not introducing, but like bringing Boba Fett into their tribe and giving him like the trial and everything, which by the way was one of the like the more beautiful things that was part of those episodes. Like one, it moves Boba Fett's character in a different way, like in a different direction, but also you get more of a backstory to what the tribes of or that tribe in particular
yeah,
of
like
Tuskens
of
are.
their ways, right?
Mhm.
Of what they do, how they're introduced, not introduced, sorry, like how they
How they live on Tatooine, their
yeah,
lifestyle.
basically that particular one, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure, it's something I guess that we wanted to know in a way because of how he was introduced in The Mandalorian.
Amanda, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like how he came out like that. You're like, where did he get this? How did he become this? How why is he in Tatooine? Like,
Dude, okay, initially I thought he like robbed some like Tuskens. I didn't think he became part of their tribe and like
no,
helped them out. I thought he just fucking robbed them. Like it's
yeah,
kind of weird. Not weird, but like it was different.
it's character development at this point because
Hmm.
it I mean, from a standpoint, you could
From
say
a
that he
certain
didn't
point
have
of view.
any, right. He didn't have any family in a way at
Yeah,
all. His only, not even because he's a clone. But anyways, but he didn't have any family whatsoever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for him, it was such a different experience. Again, like I said, character development there. They did a pretty good job with that because now you're seeing Boba Fett in a whole different environment. You know, a whole different Boba Fett than just like some cold killer.
Hmm.
So that was nice. Now going like forward, the fact that they cut off the Tusken Raiders so abruptly like that was a little
Yeah, I don't
too
remember. I don't remember what episode, but like they're like, okay, I'll be right back. He leaves, comes back, and they're all dead.
right.
I he I feel like we didn't get too much of the Tuskens to say goodbye to them so quick.
No,
And you and I talked about this. I forget what day, if it was like the snow day or what it was, but like they should have stuck around for longer.
I find it kind of weird how they moved too fast, right, from the Tusken Raiders. Like as we were saying, like it should have stuck in longer for probably till season one. But see, the thing is that I personally didn't like the fact that there was like a good amount of screen time where you saw him in the back to tank and then flashback, back to tank, flashback. Like
Mm-hmm.
we get it. I mean,
You know
we
what it
get it.
reminded me? You know what it reminded me of? And I know you've definitely seen it. You've seen it, but I don't know if you've finished seeing it. It reminded me of Arrow.
Then I stopped watching it.
Okay.
There was flashbacks, man.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind Arrow. I haven't finished
No,
it
I
either,
mean,
but
I liked it, but still, like, there's just you had to pay attention for a good amount of time. Like, it's not something that you can just sit there and kind of like listen to it, like, yeah, whatever. So at the time, I was like, I couldn't pay
yeah,
attention 100%. But I know what you mean.
yeah. Flashbacks. Every episode had a flashback, and I
It
think
adds more to the story.
yes, but I think part of it also is like you don't need to have a flashback. He can have a flashback just like he's sitting on the throne. He doesn't have to like just be in the back to tank to think about his dreams or his flashback
That wasn't the best thing.
setup.
Yeah, it just looked like a handicap for him, like, and throughout the whole series, like,
Up until he got hit with no up until Black Carsanzan, I think that's his name, the Wookiee.
yes,
I'm like, I don't want to say the Chewbacca because that's not what he is. Jesus Christ, the Wookiee. Yeah, up until that point, like after he got hit, like a hit, he was done with the Bantha tank.
yeah, I don't know, like, I have mixed feelings about the fact that
You can
every
say
show,
it honestly because I think a lot of people have those types of mixed feelings. So don't hold it back.
no, I'm just kind of like trying to get all my thoughts together. Like, look, there's so much that goes on, but mostly all shows have a pretty slow opening. But this felt like it was dragged on a little too much, and then
Yes.
it got good, and then you got introduced to other characters,
Other
like
stories.
other stories, and it became more than just the Book of Boba Fett. Like, it became Mando season 2, and then
2.5.
yeah,
Ahsoka prequel series.
mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we all wanted to know what was gonna happen to certain characters, and we all wanted to see him back on the screen. But
Yeah,
it
I
stole the
agree.
show. Put it that way.
I agree. I think this definitely felt like an afterthought that they definitely just said we need space between Mano season 2 and 3. What can we do? And then that's what they did. And that wasn't really the best way to put it. I don't think it was the best sort of opening for the character. I think I was thinking about this today. The fact that he got the throne at the end of Mando season 2, like almost immediately. Look, it's a sick shot. I love the art depicting Boba Fett on the throne. It looks really nice. However, I don't think that was the best place for him to start because he starts on the throne and it's kind of like, okay, what to do? Diplomacy, and it's like you have like, I feel like those 3 episodes, like present day Boba Fett, he's just at his throne with like his like arm rest or his head resting on his arm, and he's just like, okay, what's next? Oh, this place is doesn't like me. Okay, well let's see what I can do.
Yeah,
And it's just, I feel like if he had maybe gone back to Tatooine, honestly, if he went back, he left Tatooine, he said goodbye to the Tuskins, and he was like, I'm gonna leave because I need to go find my armor. I need to go do, I need to go on my journey because something, maybe after saving Fennec, he's like, I have to go find my armor. He saves Fennec, they go find his armor, and then he returns at the beginning of the show. He returns to find the Tuskins dead. But obviously you have to build up a little bit towards that, but I think that's how it should have been. Instead of him coming back and getting the throne, he should have come back to his family or his tribe, and then they still die. I think them dying, it was a fine thing or a fine motivation, but I think who kills them should have been Cad Bane. I don't want to like say too much of like this show should have been this. I want to talk about like still more of I'm just gonna leave that as a tease to what I want to say towards the end. But I think a lot of those first 3 or 4 episodes kind of they mesh together with the flashbacks and the Tuskins and what like Boba Fett's trying to do in the town.
Right.
Like it all kind of meshes together, and it feels so really put together. Like, look,
I mean, they
they,
did a good job. I mean, nevertheless, whatever it
look,
is
I'm
that
glad we
we
got a
got,
show, right?
yeah, definitely. Whatever it is that we got, even up to the finale, everything, it made up for it. Every single episode made up for maybe whatever was missed in episode one. Episode two made up for it, like little things like that. But nevertheless, it was a pretty decent show to watch. Maybe not what everybody expected, but
Yeah, I have favorite moments. Like
yeah, of course.
that train action sequence was one of, and it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who directed I think 3 of the 7 episodes. He directed 1, 3, and 7. I thought it was really well directed. I think it looked really, everything looked really good. It had a lot of his own like style of like the way he directs stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was one of my favorite action sequence, like before Boba Fett in his
Takes the
armor.
throne.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In timeline wise, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it showcases Boba Fett more than just the Mandalorian in armor, and you know,
Yeah.
he relies on his armor to keep him protected. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, a whole different aspect of him, definitely.
I think using the Tuskins on speeders it was really cool because we never really have seen something like that. Like it was something like out of a western, like just ripped off, like right off a western.
Uh-huh.
Not ripped off in a bad way, but like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
homage. Yeah, they essentially they just it is just like this western train chase sequence that by the end of it, because like I said, the beginning of that sort of confrontation, it's the Pikes who we learn are the Pikes by the end of the episode. They're
Yep.
just they're shooting at the Tuskins for fun.
Basically, get
Not
out of my way, you know.
Yeah,
Just-
not even they weren't even in the way. They just
You're
shot
right.
him.
It's just for sport. I mean, later on, we kind of figure out it's more of like, you know, they don't want anyone interfering with what their business is, but
Yeah, but even
they
then
just
they
did it
still
as
weren't
sport.
there. Yeah, and it was just this kind of like, okay, well, let's get back at them. We're not gonna take this kind of BS. Let's get back at them. You see a
Mhm.
little bit of a training from Boba Fett's perspective of like training Tusken Raiders to do this really complicated action sequence on speeder bikes.
It's
Which
like
you-
riding a bantha.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a great action sequence. I think that was one of the highlights of the first 3 episodes, and like I think that's where that kind of brought me back. I'm like, okay. Also, I thought that was kind of dumb that he went back to the Sarlacc pit to look for his
For
armor.
his armor, yeah.
He got out of it. Like I know he was kind of a little woozy from coming out of the Sarlacc pit, but
He probably thought that it rolled back down and, you know, the pit ate it.
yeah, I guess. But like, even with his ship, he really wouldn't be any. By the way, if he threw his like guitar bomb down there, would have. I'm
His
pretty sure would have.
seismic charge?
Yes, I call it guitar bomb.
Dude,
'Cause
that
it's-
the noise
said
that
it
it makes
correctly.
is so no, I mean I know what it is, but
Oh, okay.
the noise that it makes is so pleasing.
Yeah.
But
It's,
it killed the creature, right?
yeah.
So
Well, what I was trying to say is it probably would. Do you think it would have destroyed his armor if it was actually in there?
I doubt it.
Well,
I doubt.
you
I
know,
mean, supposedly Beskar is pure
strong-
Beskar is
Yeah,
supposed to be like almost indestructible. So
sometimes I can't tell if that is Beskar or not. Like I'm pretty sure it is, but he has a bunch of like marks on it from like the original trilogy, so I can't tell sometimes.
I guess it's pre-Mando Beskar. So
Yeah, what they before they knew all that.
yeah. So next time, don't touch my buttons. Did you notice though? Throughout the whole show, he had moments with Fennec Shan where he was like, they had some tense moments. Not 100% like tense, but they
Oh, like
disagreed on
disagree.
something.
Yeah.
Like, they were
I
like,
kind of like that
yeah, of
'cause
course.
it-
It's not. They're not thinking exactly the same, but
because they're supposed to be a team, and they're like, oh well, shit, tension between the two, the two almost the two heads of this crime syndicate. Yeah, I think they were good, but I also feel like they didn't have too much to do, unfortunately. Ming Na Wen did a really good job of doing her character. I think she's always acting really well, even if like the script isn't written so tightly and so great for certain scenes. I still think she's doing a good job on that. Let me see. Oh, I think what was weird about it is you see they like had to pay to bring some huts back, right? Like that you saw
Oh,
them a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
you don't get much from it. They're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't us. Sorry, but not sorry. We're gonna leave now.
Like, were they brought back to remind people of how this was? Like,
No, I think they were brought back to put the tension of like, oh, who's the bad guys
oh,
before
kind of
we
to
before we
mask
knew,
who? Yeah. Okay.
because they we didn't know who the bad guys were gonna be on this. Yeah, we saw the Pikes earlier, but we didn't know if they were gonna return like that.
Yeah, like we had people in question, you know.
Yeah,
So
like,
it
or
could have been the
who did the
mayor,
hit?
it
Yeah,
could have been Pikes, it could have been the Huts, it could have
which
been
is
someone.
basically everyone except the Huts.
Yeah, everyone, put up their middle finger towards Boba Fett. No one liked them in a way.
Not even he says that he wanted to protect the city,
Yeah.
but it feels like sometimes the city didn't like him. I don't know if you got that sense either.
Yeah, no, I guess he hadn't earned the respect of the citizens around the area.
Yeah, and I feel like there's too much walking around with his Boba Fett look. Too much like, I don't know how they would have fixed it, but it was too much walking around.
Mhm.
I don't know how to not make that sound weird.
Yeah, I know. And there wasn't like enough I don't know, like I
Clearly, there's something missing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And speaking of that, like four chapters in, we get kind of a story of Boba Fett. He's been injured. He's gotten a rancor by now. Um,
By
and
Machete.
he yeah, that was really cool. I'm
That
not gonna
was nice,
lie.
yeah. Mr. Danny.
Trejo. Oh, that's his name, Bib Fortuna. That's the dude who Boba Fett killed.
Oh, yes, 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 it is Big Fortuna.
Because I think that name is really stupid, so I like always forget it. Yeah. So Mando returns, and I think this is where the show took a turn for the worst. And
In what way?
I like you said earlier, I like seeing Mando return. I like the fact that he's returning. I was very curious to see where they were going with his story, like whether the next season was gonna bring. I was obviously curious to see, like, maybe I'm not gonna say I expected Grogu to show up. That's definitely not the case. I would have wanted him to not show up, maybe for one Mando season, and then he returns after.
Right.
Um, but I wasn't like, oh, I hope I see Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka in Boba Fett. Like, I think the Return of the Mandalorian had a great opening sequence. That fight sequence in the meat locker, really cool, really brutal.
Yeah, bring back I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold
Yeah,
mind.
and
So that
yeah.
was nice.
And instead of just like a gunfight, it was like him using the dark saber, which you can clearly tell that he's kind of struggling. Cool, right? I like that action sequence. But I think what was really weird was like the episode kept going.
Yeah, it was all 100% about him.
Yeah, it
So
sounds weird to say, and I'm not saying that I don't want to see Mando at all, but I wanted to see Mando in a similar way to how we got Boba Fett in Mando
in
season,
Mando, yes.
where
So
he
we
returns. He steals a show for one or two scenes, but not the entire show.
yeah, this is where it feels like obviously these have been pre-done. It's not like
It's
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
doing the episodes as the time came, but as a viewer it just seems like you were being lost in the first 3 episodes, and then they were like, oh, so what should we do next, like bring Mando,
Like
like
yeah,
everyone
like oh
everyone
yeah. the viewership is kind of going down, so we got to bring Mando in.
And then they're like, oh yeah, what else could we do? Bring Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka and like I
Grogu
feel like
and
oh my
who else returned?
yeah. Like
Look,
there's
they're
just
both
too many-
really well done episodes, but
yeah, no
it's
complaining about that. It's just it was out of context and to a certain degree.
yes, I like that he got a new ship, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish you kind of saved that for Mando season 3. We got a new ship. We maybe get a glimpse of like not Grogu, but like get a glimpse of like him wanting to see Grogu, but can't.
Right. I mean, it would have been better. I mean, I agree with you 100% to leave Grogu up until season 2 for Mando,
Mm-hmm.
just to savor that moment, But still, like again, the fact that we see each other once again it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, but I feel like if you put some time in between that though, it would have hit different because chronologically he just left Mando
Mm-hmm.
like what feels like a month ago.
Essentially, and for them, it's probably a while.
Yeah, maybe it was like 2 or 3 months. I don't know. But look, like I said, very well directed episode. The Return of the Mandalorian. Like the fact that we got more Darksaber, we got more of the original armor and the big guy. Cool. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it kept going, and I was like, I looked at my phone. I clicked on like how far am I, and it was like the middle. I'm like, where's
This is
Boba
Boba
Fett?
Fett. Yeah.
And like I said, it's like I like the episodes, but I just didn't feel like it should have been part of the show in that kind of way. Like I said, I'm fine if they introduce Mando in like a cool action sequence, and then he gets called up. Hey, we need you. Like if they did that opening sequence the way they did, and it ends with like him getting his credits.
Back, or what do you mean?
Yeah, maybe like if it opens the same way at the meat locker, maybe except he doesn't injure himself, but we do see him struggle with the Darksaber. And so he like puts it away and he's like, okay, I'll just fight it my old fashioned way. He gets the kill, he gets his credits, and as soon as he gets the credits, he's like, hey, Mendo, you have someone is calling you, like some like secretary of that like nightclub.
Yeah.
And
I mean, look, they could have left the whole scene with the armor alone till
yeah.
end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really could have left that because I don't know.
It's not important and here's the thing too.
No, it's just important to Mando. Like, it
Yes,
has nothing to do with Boba Fett at all.
If someone was like, oh, I'm not gonna watch Boba Fett because that character doesn't interest me, but I'm gonna watch Mando season 3 and just wait for that. They have to watch Mando season, or they have to watch Book of Boba Fett to understand season 3 of Mando.
Right. So now
because he gets Grogu back, he gets injured from the.
he gets new ship.
Yes, he
This is
gets
not the
casted
way
out.
anymore.
Yep. So it's like that's kind of scummy. That's what happened. That this is required viewing.
In a way, yes.
Like I'm gonna watch it, but like those people who only watch Mando and not Boba Fett is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh shit, I gotta watch it now.
I guess we kind of are going chronological. I don't. It's kind of weird because like we normally don't do this kind of chronological style anymore. I think we'll do like maybe like the restructure and then we'll go to the last episode. I was thinking about this the other day. Boba Fett as a show is not an impossible task, but it is super difficult because you have to please or it's like up in the air. Do you have to please the OT fans? Do you have to please the prequel fans?
And the new fans. I mean, the new people, the new viewers.
Yeah, but I'm saying those two because, the OT being like the new Boba Fett, of just being the mysterious character, the original, the prequel series, because you got that clone backstory. Which do you include? Do you include both? Do you include only one of them? What do you do? And I get that that's an impossible task because Boba Fett has always been this mysterious character that fans who are now grown up, fans when they were kids, they would just imagine what that character was like, how ruthless he was, maybe what kind of a person he was underneath the helmet. But there's a lot of baggage that comes with the character.
Right. So I mean, yeah, you're definitely right. Like it is difficult to just continue from what was already great. Like what do you do to make it better? Or what do
Mm-hmm.
you do to
To
continue that
expand it.
yeah, to the same stride, as the other ways that he was portrayed and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, as I go back to the same thing, like it was good. What they did was still good, but overall, it's I think we may say like, hey, this could have been done better this way or
Yeah,
that
I'm
way. But
I'm
it,
not a screenwriter.
I
I'm not a
know,
director. I just
but in its
like,
own way, like we're judging from what is at the moment. But if
yeah.
they were to put that in our hands, I think it would be very difficult to say, what do we do? What direction are we gonna move this
Oh
character?
well, you put it in my hands. I can tell you right now.
Uh, I'm just saying in a general sense, like
Yeah.
there's
Well,
so
every
many,
any fan would be like that.
there's so many things. Like, do you want to see Mace Windu come back? Do you want to see his Boba Fett get revenge on him?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know
There's
what you
so
mean.
much, but definitely it was a one tough cookie
To chew,
to chew.
to swallow.
Oh, that's
No,
one saying.
what? That's another. That's probably what my thoughts on the rework would have been, to make it a personal story to Boba Fett, because I think what they did is what it's like if they started Mando with Mando season 2. Off the bat, off the rip, it's just cameo after cameo
Hmm.
with no
Okay.
further development up to I mean, Mando gets a development obviously, but what I'm saying is, like, it's as if you kind of start like that. Mando season 1 didn't start like that. Mando season 1 started slower. You got to know, maybe not the person underneath. You knew who the voice was, but you got to know his motivations, his change in the way he was from a like a ruthless bounty hunter to
Mhm.
someone who
Like a
now
father
has,
figure.
yeah, now has to take, yeah, exactly, and has to take care of a child
Well, see,
now on the run.
that's where that's where it differs very like greatly from Boba Fett because it's someone new. This whole story can shift any direction you want it to.
Yes, but
There's
I know what you mean, but I'm referring to just, it should have been more of a personal story, because we have what we have in the like, you've seen Clone Wars, everything.
yes.
I think if they had leaned closer to, because they had John Favreau and Dave Filoni, who had worked on, they both worked on Mando, but Dave Filoni worked on Clone Wars,
Mm,
and he's the one who was part of that Boba Fett resurgence in the show, because he popped up every now and then. I
mm,
think if you included more flashbacks to that version too, of making Cad Bane main villain, maybe he learns that Boba Fett was back, and after thinking that he was dead, he's like, like, I should have killed him. I should have been the one to do the last shot. And now that he learns that he's back, um, he goes to find him, and maybe the Tuskins have something that that is left from him. Maybe the signet of Mandalore, and like, that's it. And he goes to go find them, and he has maybe a squad of bounty hunters, and he kills the Tuskins,
mm,
leaving, or Boba Fett coming back and seeing that they're dead. They're
mhm.
like, oh shit, like, what happened? And that's what he's trying to figure out. And it's like, it's this revenge story of Cad Bane coming back to finish the job, and we get to explore more of that character. We get to explore more of Boba Fett, and maybe how he was.
Like some internal struggle, you're saying,
Yeah, like,
more
that's
in
what
that
it was
sense. Yeah.
missing.
Hmm.
And it's like,
I
it
mean, like,
was,
because he had it all, right?
yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to say. He got the throne, but then what?
Mm-hmm.
He's already been given the big milestone. Like, if you wanted to do a gangster Boba Fett, cool. That sounds really cool. However, I think maybe like Cad Bane should have been the one to be the main villain, but by the end of it, it's revealed that someone else is behind it all, and it
Right,
could
some
have been like,
mysterious figure. Right,
yeah.
it would have um moved on to like another season, so to speak.
And
Something like that.
you can say that like Boba Fett doesn't want any part of saving the village and everything, but like Cad Bane is causing havoc, and Boba Fett's like, he doesn't care at the moment. He's like, revenge.
Mm-hmm.
But then he maybe sees, oh, this village is in trouble.
Yeah, it's more about everything that's going on.
I have to save them. Even though I wasn't able to save the Tuskins, I have to be the one to help out this town right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like the shift from going from just like the merciless bounty hunter, right, to
Mhm.
being like the gangster good guy kind of,
Yeah, noble character.
I mean, it's cool. I find that interesting. In a way, not what we expected, right?
Is it a hard shift?
It's a pretty hard shift. I guess it makes sense from all the trauma that he went through, and I think that's kind of what they were aiming towards. I mean, essentially, but uh, towards the end, like we get to see him, like who Boba Fett is, like what he's known for, like
Mm-hmm.
this badass character, a lot of action sequence, a lot of fighting, like go ahead. You're gonna say something.
No, be honest, bro. No one has really done that in a long time. Like the last time someone did that, I think was when we used to record in person. Cause you would, I think Brandon used to do that a lot. And we're like, no, go ahead. It's kind of hard to hear that over Discord.
Oh yeah,
But I don't mind the idea of moving the character forward.
because I mean, at this point, he has it all. He literally has it all. He has he has
As
a
a
throne.
tribe.
He has people happy. He has the mods. He has he just has.
I forgot.
You forgot about the mods. They were
Actually,
that not important.
no. Let's go into the mods because I actually forgot.
Oh boy.
Did you think they were good? Did you think they were weird? What was your thoughts?
I think they were a little misplaced. The, I mean, again, the idea is pretty decent. The fact that I mean, okay, the way Fennec Shen was
Technically a mod.
rescued, yeah, technically. So, I mean, sure, if you want to bring more mods, sure, but the way they did it kind of a little misplaced,
Dude, I know it's a Boba Fett story, but Fennec is part of that story right now. She had nothing right now. I think if they had made her like, yes, I know she was more of a mod or later mod, but I think if you had made her someone that the mods look up to, and someone that maybe the mods are like, oh, like she's different, or like I want to like fight with her, and she's able to have more of a caring kind of relationship for these mods, because maybe she was thrown out when she was young. Maybe
I
she
mean,
was,
we
you know what I mean?
kind of see just a really small glimpse towards like the end where she's like, "Oh, you're saying please now."
Yeah,
That little line.
yeah.
Um, kind of, a little
But do
bit.
you know what I do what I mean, right? Like I feel like they
Mm.
should have given Fennec more to do with the mods, seeing as how she is technically one,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe
Yeah,
she's the one that recruits them.
yeah, that would have been probably a better idea, but
Also, I don't I don't think the bikes were that big of an issue. Like just thinking about it, like I remember that day when we were talking about it, I was like, they look so weird, they look misplaced, but I don't think they're that like or that bad looking. Just
I guess they
because
were
like,
just unique. They were unique to the one specific mod and just the way they. I mean,
yeah, they
in all intention of the word, like they were modded,
modified, yeah.
so modified.
They
Yeah.
it was like apparently it was a homage to George Lucas and his like original couple films that he did before Star Wars,
Oh.
which was like this like kind of like greaser kind of like kind of movies
Hmm.
with cars and all that. And like that's kind of cool, but I think they just kind of were a little bit boring of characters, so that action sequence was kind of boring and slow,
Yeah.
which is why I was like that's kind of weird. It's not the cars that I don't or the speeders that I don't like. It's just everything kind of feels slow.
Hmm. Dude, I couldn't stand the Twi'lek guy. I couldn't stand him. My apologies. My apologies.
He's supposed to be like very. I think he's a character actor.
Hmm.
He's like very like recognizable, but
I mean,
I thought
all of it. It's all comedic, like at that
yeah.
point, but it just
I
it
think
got a
his
little.
last thing where he was reading off Boba Fett's notes. I think it was one of the best kind of things that he was doing
Hmm.
because you were expecting him to say like something different, but it's this just badass line like "Get out of my city."
Yeah. But
I forgot his name too,
oh, I don't
but
remember that.
he's the assistant to the mayor.
The mayor.
Um,
So the Pikes.
not interesting.
Nope.
Just flat out, they're not. They're just. I think because I saw them like once before in the Solo.
Mm.
I didn't think they were that interesting of villains. Maybe like just side villains, but not main villains. I think weren't. They're not that interesting.
Or maybe just the mystery of like the Pikes. You know, like they're supposed to be like mafia people, like very like you don't mess with
Oh
them,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
right. But I mean, you could say Clone Wars did a pretty decent job of that. But this time they just felt so like they were just numbers.
yeah. There's just like it's just
I don't
an
know.
army, and that's all you needed. And that they just like, oh, well, just there's pikes, and then that's it. Okay, we'll just get the pikes then.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cad Bane for what he was in, great. I think he was really great. I'm glad the actor came back who voiced him came back. I don't know if he's part of like the action stuff or if he's just the voice,
Mm-hmm.
but very menacing voice. Great to see him like fight the marshal Cobb Vanth. I think having Cobb Vanth come back really cool. I like that like very western
Mm-hmm.
inspiration of that like
And the fact that still
drawing.
Cad Bane still got it, you know? Like
The
he may
guy's
be
like
old.
70, I'm pretty sure.
He may be old, but he still got it. He's the fastest gunslinger in the galaxy, so to speak. So
Yeah,
he
at
got
this
it.
time. I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. You saw a
You're
little
right.
bit blinking of his suit. I don't think he's actually fully dead. He survived a shot to the head.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
You saw that, right? By the
Yeah.
way, okay. I was gonna
Little
send it in
plating.
here.
A little plating on this head. Yeah.
The
There's some dude, bro. There's some dude that he was they were trying to petition him to redo this animation. This specific scene with Cad Bane and Boba Fett, you know, when they draw guns in the
the
Clone Wars.
deleted scene,
Yeah,
not
the
deleted,
deleted
but the
scene. Oh,
unfinished,
unfinished.
unfinished.
You're right. They're like they're really petitioning the guy to reanimate it, and the guy's like, I cannot make any promises, but there's a lot of people who want to see this.
Dude, can you just imagine with my idea that I presented earlier, we actually get a live action version of this scene, a restoration of this scene, but in live action. You get the younger actor who voiced Boba Fett or who played Boba Fett to voice Boba Fett in this. You get a younger sort of body double for Boba
Hmm.
Fett. We get Cad Bane back in this flashback. I think that personal story, getting to see that earlier in the season and then getting to see the rematch at the end of the
Hmm.
season. Cool. I think that would have been like a more interesting idea, more like a little different than the what we kind of got. Very different, but I think it's just they kind of missed their shot with no pun intended. They missed their shot with Cad Bane.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of I think they didn't know what to do, so they brought in. You're right. It feels like there's a lot of course correcting as the episodes came out.
Right. It's weird. But I mean, hey, we even got to see Order 66 again. you know, through
Yes.
Grogu's vision, so to
Do you
speak.
want to know the funny part about that is?
Oh,
People have seen that thing and have said the clone armor is wrong on some parts.
oh boy.
And I can't. Well, I don't know if they did it as a joke or not, but I could not have zoomed in, enhanced, and said those words myself because
Oh yeah, this line is crooked.
Well, no, it's like this plating of armor is too tall or something like that.
I mean, look,
Like-
I'm a fan of Star Wars,
But not like
not like that. My respects to the people who can keep up with these things, but I just don't got the time for it, you know.
Yeah.
Still,
It was
mean,
funny to see that.
regardless, it's interesting to see something again in a whole different point of view, and to see clones once again in live action, so to speak,
And
even though
also-
they're probably CGI.
CGI.
Right.
Honestly, this might be a tease of what's to come for the Obi-Wan series coming
Mhm.
out soon, because we might get Tamora Morrison back for that.
You
Maybe.
think so, right?
I think so. Well, they haven't. I don't think they announced anything. It was as far as we know, it's just Obi-Wan. We got Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader.
You think we'll see
And,
Ahsoka in there?
I hope so. I hope we get to see Ahsoka and Rex played by Rosario Dawson and Tamora Morrison.
Morrison, yeah.
I would hope that they do something with that, but it's not a required thing. Yeah,
Oh, no,
if
definitely.
it does not need it, do not put it.
Right, but even if they don't, like, they still have the project for the Ahsoka.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they could also bring Rex for that. If
Yeah, definitely.
again, if the story, I think honestly, I've learned my lesson with Boba Fett. I'm like, just do what the story requires, not what the fans
Not what
are
the
saying
fans
to do. Because if you don't need Luke Skywalker, don't have him show up in Boba Fett. It's okay, you know. I like that. He looks a little better. I'm glad that they touched
They
it up.
improved it. They improved it.
It looks
It's
really
pretty good.
nice. The voice is kind of not creepy, but I know it's an AI doing the.
Hey, for an
the
AI
research
to
and-
do that, they did get a bunch
You
of
can
really,
hear it.
really good takes though. Like,
Yeah, you can
it's
hear it,
pretty
but
clean.
it's good. Yeah.
It's pretty clean for that. Like the
And-
fact
and-
that we got technology like that nowadays is kind of creepy though. You're right, but it's cool.
At this
the
point, I
idea is
feel like
cool.
just get Sebastian Stan to be Luke Skywalker if you're gonna continue doing more Luke Skywalker stuff.
The
at
Winter
this point,
Soldier.
Yeah.
My dude.
Cad. So yeah, we left off on Cad Bane and
Bane,
Cobb
yes.
Vanth. Cobb Vanth is obviously gonna come back sometime in the future with a
Mhm.
robotic arm because he got shot in the shoulder.
Now
Cad
he's part of the
Bane.
mods.
Now he's part of the mods. Cad Bane most likely not dead. I kind of hope that he is, but see, if I would have been more okay if he did die completely, if we got more of him in the season, if we got an earlier couple episodes, and then he died after that. Because if he doesn't die, then I feel like it kind of cheapens his death by Boba Fett, because
I
that's
mean-
like the third time he survived death,
Right. But
or second.
I don't know. Like it's a 50-50. Like
It's left open.
They could write it. Yeah, they could write it in a really good manner if he ever does come back, and he still creates havoc, even though he's maybe not his 100% because he's so injured or whatever. And then maybe his I don't know.
Or maybe he's
like,
a mod.
yeah, maybe he's
Everyone's a mod.
sure. There's no straight up death in Star Wars anymore. You know?
No,
there's a mod for that.
I thought it was that's funny.
There's a mod for that. Oh boy.
There's a patch for that.
Yeah, sure.
I thought it'd be really fun if it's like the next season opens up with Cad Bane, like, oh, I'm
In the mod
alive, I'm
parlor.
alive, and he's about to get up, and then what's it
Boba
called?
Fett's like, I rescued you.
No, I was gonna say what's it called? What's the big the Rancor? The Rancor just
Oh,
picks
yeah.
him up and eats.
Oh boy.
Speaking of the Rancor, actually, last episode, it was packed.
No, the last episode did a good.
I think it did a good job. Yes.
It made up for a good amount of stuff.
Yeah, dude, I really like seeing Mando and Boba Fett just hanging around each other and fighting and having their backs and doing like turns and like flying, and that's always looks really nice. I
Mm-hmm.
think there was some parts of the fights that were kind of, it felt like a little filler
A little bit.
because they were kind of waiting for the Freetown people to come in.
Mm-hmm.
The Droidekas 2.0 with the shields was interesting, but I think
It wasn't needed in a way. Like,
no, there's a lot of running is what I was trying to get to. There's like we're going here, we're going to this part of the set. Now we're going to this part of the set.
mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of weird. I think I heard people say like they should have put it in Jabba's palace. Like they should have set it there instead of on the town.
True.
Because that way it's less destruction, and Boba doesn't seem like such a dick, being like, I'm gonna save this town, but also I'm gonna destroy it in the meantime.
yeah,
I mean, the Rancor really pulled off, or it was pulled off really well. It was a payoff to the third episode where we got to see him.
definitely. I mean, it would have been interesting to see a little bit more of the training of how that went.
Yeah, I
Maybe
thought
more
about it
in
too,
depth about that, but I
dude.
don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
we were
think we
asking
can
too much.
complain. No, I don't think we can complain about that. You know what? You want to know why? We had 2 episodes of no Boba Fett.
You're right.
So
right.
they could have cut those 2 episodes and put in more stuff of Boba Fett. So I don't wanna like say that's too much, because I think that's perfect amount of explanation we should have gotten.
Not enough Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But perfect
The
everything.
book of this guy over here.
The book of everybody else, but Boba Fett.
Okay. Last couple things. Let's see. Oh yeah, I also didn't like that it ended off like with Boba Fett. Like, oh look, we're having fun. We're having fruit over here, and I'm like thinking it's gonna pan out to the 2 sons, and the show's gonna end. But it panned out to Mando and Grogu. And it's like, dude, you can't even finish the series with Boba Fett. You have to finish it with Mando too.
Yeah.
Like they should have done Mando first and then Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Just different cuts you could have done,
100%.
and you
It
fix
has a
it in the
different
editing.
meaning. Because
Yeah.
you're right. Because then Mando's in the back of your head. You're like, okay, we're still watching Boba Fett. We're still on the show. But no, it's like,
And I kind of feel bad for Tamora Morrison, because like, I understand that that wasn't his character when the original trilogy came out. I understand that it wasn't him under that, but he technically has that role from now on because of the voice and because of the clone origin. So I feel like they
Mhm.
kind of did him a little dirty for that. And if there is a season 2, great. Let's see the season 2, but I hope that they learn their lesson from this season.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they
Like,
will.
I don't want to, because I really praised Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for their work in the 2 previous Mando seasons, and I think they just kind of fell a little too hard.
Dude, have I been saying Mando season 2? I've been meaning Mando season 3. Wow, I just caught that. To anybody who heard me saying
I'm not
Mando
gonna edit you.
season 2.
No, it's, dude.
Oh,
If this
boy.
was like a
That's funny.
10-minute video, I probably would have just interchanged you saying season 3 by like just like a weird cut. But because it's
Oh,
like an
man.
hour, obviously.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I apologize
It's
in
fine.
advance.
Dude.
I meant season 3.
Bro, I make
Well.
mistakes all the time and then forget about it and then remember him when I'm editing and be like,
This guy.
I want to say one more thing about the show, and then we can wrap it up, because I know it's almost 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
So music. I know you didn't. I don't think you paid attention to the music.
No, I'm not. I'm not 100%
An
a guy
OST.
to go into. Yeah, and I don't go too much into the score and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I listen to it.
I'm listening to
in
it
the
right
show,
now.
and dude, the last episode,
Where they have Boba Fett being being part of the lyrics.
that was
Yeah.
cool. That was nice.
I think that was a great addition to it. But yeah, you know me. I do a lot of listening to
Mm-hmm.
soundtracks. I like whenever there's like a show or a movie or anything in between, and I enjoy it. I always look for the soundtrack because a lot of the times, or maybe like 90% of the time, I really like the soundtrack, or I like one track and that's it. Like, because
I
last
mean,
week we
yeah,
were talking about,
music makes it.
yeah. Well, last week we were talking about, or last episode, not really last week, last episode,
Mm-hmm.
which actually at the current day of recording came out on YouTube. So go listen to that, everyone. The TMNT episode, I talked a lot about, and I even told you that it was on, the soundtrack was on Spotify.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
remember.
listened. For those 2 weeks, I've been listening to Boba Fett and then Turtles. But what I said in the Ninja Turtles episode, I mean this in here too. I think that a lot of the music is done really well. You know, with the start from Ludwig Göransson, the composer of Mando. He didn't compose this one, but he did a lot of the themes. And another composer. Let me just look this guy up. Um, he's the one who composed most of the or the rest of the show. Um, or like, because he didn't make the Boba Fett theme
Mm-hmm.
that was composed by or written by Ludwig. He composed the rest of it and included those themes into it. So it's like if you see it on like the credits, it's like themes by Ludwig Göransson, score by his name's Joseph Shirley,
Mm.
and I think he did a really good job. I think it sounds very close to what Ludwig was trying to go towards, and was you had a lot of like kind of OT original trilogy kind of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna add this to the link in the description. But I found this guy on YouTube who just put all the themes together for Boba Fett. It's
Oh,
like a
really?
compilation. Like it's really nice. It like kind of intercuts between each song really well. So
Cool.
I'll add it to the description for anybody who wants to listen to that.
Of course.
So I guess we'll go on to just the last final thoughts, with the rating and such. So just anything you want to say before we rate it? Anything you really liked? Anything that really stood out for you? Maybe things that you didn't like?
Um, Something that kind of stood out to me a little bit was in at the last episode, you see a little bit of interchange between the Boba Fett and Fennec Shand when they're um talking about the spice being a bad thing, and
Oh yeah,
you see Fennec Shand being like, "Hey, this is we can make profit out of this," and Boba Fett's like, "No, this is bad," and i- it's kind of like a setup for some sort of
conflict.
yeah, just like a kind of like a backstabbing story where she could go her own way and be bad again, so to speak, or an assassin. And
Yeah,
just
it could happen with like a like maybe not to that level, but there's definitely room for a conflict between those two.
right. So that kind of stood out to me. That was there's like a little nudge there. So I was like, "Oh, cool.
Cool.
That's nice." But the episode seemed a little all over. I mean, the whole season seemed all over the place. With their whole perspective was decent. It wasn't delivered that great, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a fan of what was delivered, what we saw.
Yeah, chances are I'm probably gonna see this show again.
Mm-hmm.
Just just so, like if I'm actually probably do that if I'm like working on some cosplay, put it in the background or something.
Yeah, I mean that too. Actually, it opens up more ideas for people who do want to cosplay, which I like that. I'm a fan of. It's cool.
Well, what do you
Um,
out of 10? What do you rate it? Or do you want to give it a little thought and then come back to you?
no, I could give it a rating. It's just
Okay.
eh, I guess a little side note. The rating has nothing to do with the fact that they brought um certain characters like Luke and whatnot, Ahsoka, R2,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like overall, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
What it's funny. I was gonna say the same thing because I feel like 6 is a little too
No, it's
low
just
and
a
a little
little too low.
harsh.
No,
I didn't want to give it so far and be like 8. Like I think 7 is such a great middle ground for exactly what you were trying to like portray. Like the show had good moments and good action beats and great music. It had these characters that had a good, well, my voice cracked. These characters had a kind of solid ground where they could have gone into a different story, but I think the current story is a little bit like I said, an afterthought. Unfortunately, to Mando, he's overshadowed Boba Fett. Unfortunately, I really like Boba Fett. His look, his armor. Like I bought a Boba Fett mug before I bought a Mandalorian mug.
Oh, there you go.
I like his look a lot, but I'm a bigger fan of the Mandalorian character. But I thought that this maybe would have done justice to the Boba Fett character. And even when the trailers were out, and some of my friends were like, Patty, you don't know him, but Patty was always like, I don't want to see Boba Fett do his taxes. Because like that's kind of what the vibe you got from it. And I was like over here trying to defend. I'm like, no, I kind of want to see Boba Fett be a little bit more grounded and, mob boss type. But like you said,
you're like, I take it back.
Yeah, because I don't want to not see it as that kind of bad thing, or
But
not
at
bad
the end
thing,
of the
but
day, you just what you're left off is like you just want more Mando. Unfortunately, as sad as this sounds, like you just want to see more like the story.
Well, I think I want to see more
Mandalorian.
Boba Fett. Like I know I want to see more Mando, but I still kind of want to see
the way this was set up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
At the moment, but yeah, 7 out of 10 is the best I guess I could come up with.
No, I think I read the same thing.
I don't know.
I would hope that maybe like I said, they learned a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they take their time to be like, okay, let's kind of not rethink, but let's just kind of like see where Boba Fett's able to go on in the future.
Yeah,
maybe
let's regroup our ideas.
Yeah.
Take on, maybe not take 100% of the criticism that they get, because I'm sure there's probably ideas out there that maybe don't go with what the best interest of the story is. But
and hey, season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, if they get another season, which I feel like they wouldn't, could be better than the first. It could top the first one and be like, bro, this is the season where like it kicks off and cool. I want to see more good coming from Boba Fett and Tamora Morrison, Mignola, and everybody. Here's hoping that Boba Fett gets a redemption down the line. You got anything else to say? Or are you all set?
No, I think that would be all.
Thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Nerds Be Like podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let us know what you guys thought of the Book of Boba Fett. You can let us know over at our Instagram at Nerds Be Like Pod, or on our TikTok at Nerds Be Like Pod. You can also email us at nerdsbelikepod@gmail.com for that and or any future topics you guys want us to cover, things like that. Let's see. Oh, like I said, we do have a YouTube. We have this podcast available pretty much everywhere you guys listen to your podcast. Let's see. Oh yeah, like I said, we also have a clips channel, a highlights channel, where we have quite a bit of clips from the last recent, like the more newer stuff from season 2. And thank you, bro, for joining me for the very first episode here. I say first because you can come back. Just let me
know.
We're still barging. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you guys next week, some other time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.